Hi, I'm Kat, I play Sims, and I built this green tiny house on the secret cottage lot in Henford-on-Bagley. I decided to give it a chimney and a curved roof. I didn't remember at this point that that single tile chimney would actually take a tile off my allowance for the tiny house, so I did end up fixing it later, but I never actually did realise that that was why I'd lost a tile. So I used a stone texture on the chimney, and I decided to use the Enchanted by Nature shingle on the outside of the house because I rarely get to use it. This was the cottage living fence, which I didn't fence in completely so that I didn't lose any tiles. I also used the cottage living front door with the knocker on it in the shape of a fox, and then I went on the floor plan. I did a tiny little bathroom and a bedroom, and the rest was basically open plan. I used adventure weights for a couple of the lights, and then I went back to cottage living again for the main area. I tried a base game one at first, but it didn't give a lot of light. I sized all of the lights down just to make them a little bit less obnoxious, and then I put a little one on the outside as well. For the windows, I was using mostly, if not all, cottage living. I added the little circular fox one into the roof to match the door, and then I just started putting as many different windows on as I could. I had to switch them around a bit, and I had to change which one I used in places. I wanted this bay window, and the original window that I put in the front didn't have a matching swatch to the others, so I did change it out. The interior doors were cottage living as well. I used a plain carpet for the bedroom and sleek bathroom kit for the bathroom. A base game wood floor. I used the cottage living wallpaper with the little mushrooms and stuff. I used the Love Struck in the bedroom, and then I matched the sleek bathroom kit in the bathroom to the floor. I decided to put a little foundation on, and I ended up using Growing Together for that. And I put the plain green stairs on the front. The stair rail is from cottage living. Unfortunately, it's a different shade of green. I had to move the bay window a little bit, and then I went and did some landscaping, so I went into debug and used mostly stuff from that. While I was looking at the plants and things, I noticed at the top that I had one tile too many, so I went round the back and I took it out of the bathroom. I cleaned everything up, made it match, and then I changed the foundation for the whole house to an Enchanted by Nature one and went back to my landscaping. I found a really nice lamppost in the debug, and then I started putting in trees and plants from cottage living, Enchanted by Nature, and Adventure Awaits because they all went with each other quite nicely and they fit the world that I'd put everything in. I was using a lot of tall trees and low-lying plants, and I was just sort of shuffling those around to be as thick as possible. I did briefly consider adding a pond, but I'd done something similar in one of my past builds and I didn't really feel like playing with the terraforming. I went through all of the debug for those packs looking for things that I liked, and then when I was finished putting in those items, I just quickly did my terrain pin around all of the edges. I don't currently have any windows on the back or side walls, but I'm pretty sure I add one to the back later on again. I put a light gravel texture out the front, and then I gave them a little chicken coop and some bees, and then I added in the in-ground planters next to the house as well. I added a little bit of terrain paint around those to make them blend, although it took us a minute to find the right colour. And then I decided I wanted Patchy the Scarecrow in there as well. He can actually be brought to life during gameplay if your Sims want to. And then I decided I was going to add laundry, but the hand laundry items. So I put the wash tub outside and the washing line. And then I added in a truck from Debug and filled it with Debug items from Cottage Living, including the giant plants and some of the animal treat bags, but sized up so they looked more like sacks. I just filled the back of the truck as best I could with all different vegetables and a couple of those sacks as well to make it look full and used. I grabbed a little picnic basket from Cottage Living to add out front, and I put an Adventure Awaits table out. I knew I probably wasn't going to have room in the tiny house for a dining area, so this was the best I could do. And then I went back into the landscaping and just added some flowers. I got some sunflowers and some lower lying ones to fill in the gaps around the bushes, and then I got a get together bin and put that outside, and the new Happy Home event mailbox. So for a change I actually managed to put them in. I went in the bathroom first of all, filled that back corner with a toilet, and then added a tub, which was from cats and dogs, but I did actually get rid of it in the end because I couldn't work out how the sim got into it and I didn't want to fill that much space, so in the end I used a shower instead. It was from the sleek bathroom kit, and I added one of the little dividers from the same kit as well, just to keep it separate from the rest of the room. The sink I ended up using was from Adventure Weights, and I put up a base game mirror. It actually matches a few other items I use in the house. I put a green dressing gown on the back of the door, which your Sims will clip through in gameplay, but they can move through it, and I added the usual bits of clutter like towels and toilet roll and things like that. I decided to use the Love Struck plant item above the toilet, and then I added the framed book out to the main space. I decided to tackle the bedroom next. I used a base game fireplace in a nice light green colour, and I put it over the actual chimney. I did choose the cottage living bed, and I changed the swatch eventually to just a plainer green. I wanted the cottage living vanity, but it didn't really look good in the space, so I used the Grange mudroom dresser instead. This is when I added a window on the back to take out the blank wall, and I put in some base game curtains on there as well. I added some flowers from Horse Ranch, and then I used the rug from Life and Death that I use in almost every build, if not every build. I added a Horse Ranch rocking chair in the corner, and I gave it a yarn basket as well so that the sim can knit. I don't seem to have put down a side table, which means there is not an open comfy gamer book in this one, so send help. I went out in the main space. I put down a base game bookcase in green and this city living sort of ottoman thing. I started out with the Grange mudroom seat, and then I put in a Adventure Weights rug as well and sized that down with tulle. I am going to shuffle all of this corner around somewhere else pretty soon. I put in a kitchen on this side at first, and I used cottage living for the oven and the fridge. I was going to put the fridge in and have a half wall between it and the library area, but this is why I wound up changing everything from one side to the other because none of it seemed natural. I started out with the base game counters, but in the end I did just use the cottage living ones because they matched everything perfectly. I had a look at it and decided I didn't want that in the bay window, so I switched everything over the other side of the room. The only problem with this is the kitchen is directly outside the bedroom, but I ended up moving everything and adding a little Enchanted by Nature chair by the bay window. And then with great difficulty I added a drink and a plant in that window space, although it's clear that you're not really meant to use it, so I did have to have tulle to move things around. I had to scoot it backwards and forwards and work on the elevation a little bit as well because it was floating. I forgot to stop the little drink floating, so that was unfortunate. I used a werewolf's rug out in the living space, and then I put the Grange mudroom seat back outside because that's where it suits better anyway. I put in a frame TV, although there wasn't really a green swatch that was any good, and I put in a base game sofa that I really like that's quite country-ish. I was going to put a radiator under the TV but thought better of it, so I ended up putting in a Horse Ranch console table instead. With the way I'd organised things, I had more space than I thought, so I put in a little cottage living table and some base game chairs for a dining area. And then for the entry, I just tried to put some relevant stuff up on the walls. I resized the fridge to fit better between the counters, as I pretty much always do. And I actually ended up with a base game nightstand next to the front door because it was the only thing I found that really fit nicely. I finally put the open book into the bedroom on top of the fireplace, and then I put some things like the glasses, keys, post clutter out. I cluttered the kitchen a little bit and realised I didn't actually have a sink, so I put one in from the kitchen clutter kit. There actually was a really nice green swatch on it, so I put that in, and then I shuffled all of the clutter around in the corner, and I decided I did actually want upper cabinets in here. I was considering open shelving before, but I didn't really want to put up with the clutter. I put a base game rug in and a base game mirror as well, and just added some decoration around the edges. They were base game paintings, and then I went outside because I decided the landscaping wasn't quite full enough. I went back out and I lined the front of the wall with more low-lying bushes and hedges and just filled in some gaps with a lot of flowers. I went with yellow for most of them because I had put the sunflowers in at the back before, so I just thought the colour scheme would be nice with green with a hint of yellow in the flowers, and then I added some little rocks as well just around the bottom of the hedges. I just filled gaps wherever I thought they looked particularly bad. I added a shutter onto the window from Horse Ranch and then a little flower box on the front window, and with that I was done, so enjoy the screenshots. please consider a like and subscribe.